Hey everybody, welcome to my second installment of Crate Dusting. Today I'm going to be looking at Portishead's 1994 debut album, Dummy. Portishead is a trip-hop band comprised of Adrian Utley, Jeff Barrow, and Beth Gibbons, and sometimes Dave McDonald as their engineer. This album is hella sad, hella slow, so if you're into that kind of thing, first off, you need a hug. Second off, listen to this album. It's pretty great. Before I get started, I just want to say the drums are brilliant, immaculate, like crunchy, punchy, lo-fi. As far as I know, like nobody at this time had beats like this. I mean, 1994, like this shit is genius. Let's get to it. First up,
Mr. Ons.
This track has awesome drum samples. There's like a break beat that kind of ends with a march to wrap up the fills on every measure. On top of that, there's kind of like this twisted Radiohead arpeggiated guitar. And then they just threw a fucking theremin in there. But I mean, it's cool, like tasteful theremin. It's basically like a metal rod and then another metal rod, and you just kind of like put them close to each other and they make like that woo, that Halloween-y 50s alien type sound type beat, you know. The song's pretty good. I really like it. There's a lot to appreciate here. I give it like a 5 out of 10.
Sour Times.
The song's pretty good. It used a sample from Argentine composer Lalo Schifrin from Danube Incident off of his 1967 album More Mission Impossible. The melody of the chorus, that nobody loves me, is fantastic. It kind of leaves you with like this whoa, like, you know, lonely feeling. You know, everybody's been there. And then they kind of wrap it up at the end with like Not Like You Do, which kind of saves you from that lonely feeling. It's kind of a fun song. I really like it. It's pretty genius. I gave it like an 8 out of 10 on that one.
Strangers.
There's kind of like a melodica intro, which is really cool. Melodica is like this like keyboard flute, fucking chingadera instrument. It's very like Gorillaz type beat, super heavy drum tracks. To be honest, I wouldn't doubt if Damon Albarn from Blur, and those of you who don't know, he started the Gorillaz. I wouldn't doubt if he pulled some inspiration from this track or other tracks on this album. I mean, this album is incredible. I give this song a 6 out of 10. It's got some powerful drums, kind of a cool tune.
It Could Be Sweet.
You don't get summer for nothing.
The song's kind of got a weird mix, kind of a catchy melody, a little bit of a weird song. Anybody with subs or like some heavy speakers with some heavy bass, this song is pretty cool. Would be a great one to like bump. Not really that type of vibe, but good like bass, good bump. I give it a 4 out of 10. It's kind of cool.
Wandering Star.
Wandering stars, for whom it is reserved.
The song's kind of boring. It has this like staccato marching electric piano, kind of carries the tune, you know. It's kind of a powerful beat, a little fun at the same time. They kind of throw some cool little like Gorillaz type samples in there, but I found the song kind of boring. I gave it a 3 out of 10.
It's a Fire.
I can see no.
This track starts out with like some gentle strings, goes into kind of this dance between Beth Gibbons and this organ, and then the beat kind of comes in. It's got a good groove, but nothing that I would just like throw on at like a party or like a gathering or anything like that. It's pretty somber, pretty powerful, pretty serious. I like this song. I gave it a 5 out of 10 just because it's not really playable in all situations, I guess. This song is probably my least favorite on this project. It's kind of wonky. The snare is really interesting. For those of you who don't know, a snare is, you know, that part. You can get the effect that they use by kind of muting your snare and then maybe throwing some like saturation and distortion on it. I thought it'd be really cool to use that beat, but the song itself is kind of I gave it a 2 out of 10. It's my least favorite.
pedestal.
Woo! Boy, this track, I tell you what. I fucking tell you what. That intro drum break is fucking crunchy. Awesome. Punchy. That is exactly what I go for every time I try to make a beat. Every time I want to hear some kind of hip-hop beat, I want to hear that. Absolutely incredible. The rest of the song is pretty good still. I've listened to this album 20 plus times through. Like, it's ridiculous. This song at the start was one of my least favorites, but the more and more I listened to it, the better it got. Maybe you're the same way. Maybe just give it a shot, you know. I give this song a 5 out of 10. It's pretty good. Really, the redeeming factor is that intro. Those intro drums were
Tasty.
From
Rose.
this moment, how can it feel?
The song is incredibly sad, incredibly somber. The songwriting shines through pretty hard. They have some good lines, some good powerful words in this song. Pretty good track for all those depressed people out there. Shout out to all the depressed folk out there. I feel you. I give the song a 4 out of 10. It's not really my style of song that I want to listen to, but maybe it's yours. Give it a listen.
Biscuit.
This is easily my favorite track on the entire project. Solid all the way through. Good fucking song. Would be an awesome instrumental for somebody to rap over. There's like kind of some quick cuts at the beginning of the measures that sound incredibly hip-hop. Like, this album for the time, for 1994, was doing a lot. Like, the rap tracks that were coming out at 1994 were cool, but if you go back and like listen to some Pac or listen to like some Biggie or something like that, they didn't have drums like that. I don't know, it's just my personal taste. I really like that lo-fi crunchy type beat. It's honestly like a good song. I catch myself singing along to it, so I would highly recommend listening to this song. Out of any of them, I would probably suggest this song, Mr. On's, and Glory Box, which I'm going to do next. I gave this one a 9 out of 10 because it's awesome. It's an awesome song. This one's going to end up on my playlist for sure.
Glory Box.
Yes. Give me a reason to love you.
This song has one of my favorite themes, but not really one of my favorite songs. The theme is more like sarcastic, more tongue-in-cheek. There's kind of like this 40s jazz, kind of like minor walk down, woman singing on a piano, you know, kind of one of those tracks. Not really my favorite style of music, but I think it's really cool when a group can revive an old style and still keep their same sound, which is exactly what happened in this track. Thought it was really cool. I thought it was done really flawlessly. This song is the band's most popular song, but it's not really my favorite. I gave it a 6 out of 10 just because it's a good song, but I don't really like it, you know. Alright guys, that was pretty much my walkthrough. Thought this album was incredibly innovative for the time. You can definitely hear the influence later on after this album of the drums in terms of sampling and in terms of just the beat. Creativity, I gave it a 9. Diversity, I gave it a 4. Idiosyncraticism, I gave it a 7. I know that's not a word, but the way the album is idiosyncratic, I gave it a 7. The mix, I gave a 6, and the production, I gave a 9. My original rating for this was a 7 out of 10, but the more I listened to it, throat's getting kind of dry. Sponsored by Pellegrino, by the way, San Pellegrino. I gave it a 9 out of 10. The more I listened to it, the more I liked it. Definitely one, not really one to like throw on at a party or anything like that, but definitely one to like put on when you're, you know, sad and alone, or when you're just kind of wanting to chill out and vibe and listen to some cool trip hop. All right, guys. Thanks. I appreciate you guys watching. I'm just starting out doing this, so I kind of, give me some slack. But every week I hope to get better, and I hope to show you guys some new music. For those of you who haven't watched, I hope you tune in at some point. I know it's kind of arbitrary to leave a message for the people who don't watch, because obviously they're not going to get this message. But I hope people tune in, and I hope people enjoy the albums that I review. Next up is Abysmal Thoughts by The Drums. For anybody who knows me, Blood Under My Belt by The Drums, which is off that album, is my second favorite song ever. I beat the shit out of that song. I listen to it at least every week. It's a pretty frequent song that I listen to. Absolutely gorgeous, absolutely genius. And I haven't really listened to a lot of songs off of that album, maybe like one or two. I'm really excited to take a look at that album. The Drums are like my favorite band, one of my favorite bands of all time. All right, guys. Thanks. Peace, love, and fuck Trump.